Good Monday morning, Southern Middle Tennessee. My name's Clayton Harris. I'm filling in for Delk Kennedy this morning. It is a Monday edition of Three Dudes with a View. And we are joined, as always, by dude number two, Mr. Ron Hart. Good morning, Ron.
Hey, good morning, everybody.
And also joined by Monday's special guest dude, Mike Roden. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, everybody.
And also join us this morning, the host of In the Middle of It with Jeb Hart. Jeb Hart.
Morning, y'all.
And fellas, I believe Mr. York is not going to be with us today, so it looks like it's just going to be us.
Uh-oh, I'm going to get beat up on.
Oh,
You are
civilized.
surrounded. You are surrounded.
You don't have less lunacy to defend, I guess. Maybe you can have a reasonable conversation.
Well, we'll have a reasonable conversation.
What would you care to have a reasonable
Always have a
conversation?
reasonable
Of course
conversation. How about
we
Chuck
will.
Norris dying? Keith Richards outlived Chuck Norris, so drugs, alcohol, rock and roll, maybe not so bad.
And death had to have a near Chuck Norris experience. That had to have been tough.
Yeah, we're going to have to start thinking about the kind of world we're going to leave for Keith Richards and Willie Nelson.
God,
I mean, it'll be them, cockroaches, and my friend Gates Smallwood.
they
And
live forever.
they'll be on a beach being like, what the hell just happened there? That was weird. Anyway,
You need to study them, maybe see what they got in their DNA that's got them alive this long.
I don't think there's any secret what's behind Willie Nelson. So
That's probably true. Probably true. Yeah, all those studies that say that it hurts your brain. Well, apparently not. At least not for everybody, anyway.
I mean,
Well, I guess the tournament came out pretty well. Tennessee and Arkansas and Alabama, I believe, are all in the Sweet 16.
four,
Yeah.
four, four
Florida
SEC,
lost.
four SEC teams. Yes, that was shocking, Jeb. That was
Who lost?
Florida.
Florida.
In Florida.
I think it's the only number one that has lost.
That's correct.
And I mean, they fell off a cliff. I mean, I thought them and Duke, I thought were borderline unbeatable, and they got killed by Vandy in the SEC tournament, and looked just inept in that upset. Like upsets a lot of times. Like we love March for that reason, that you get the buzzer beater, a team that plays out of their mind, and they just can't miss, or some 5'7" white dude gets hot from like half court. Like that happens, but they just got beat.
Yeah, and also too Vanderbilt. I read somewhere behind Kentucky has the biggest NIL paycheck in the SEC for basketball.
I would believe it based on the
Yeah.
way they competed.
Well,
this
Arkansas's up there too, but I think Kentucky had like I want to say 20 million, and they had 15 million to spend or something.
year. Yeah, Kentucky had the highest payroll in college basketball, and they had a
Vandy did well. They almost beat Nebraska.
yeah.
Came up a little short, but they almost did.
Vanderbilt. They hope they have some basketball team that the women's bowling team can be proud of one day.
I was waiting for 60 Minutes to start and saw the end of the Kansas St. John's game, and that was a nail biter. That little short white dude won it for them.
Yeah.
And-
It's always fun to see that. They got one guy, big old barrel chested white guy. What's his name? Kareem Abdul.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Yeah, Cream, Cream Abdul Jabbar. It's pretty funny. There's always like a rotund or a fat guy from some school that's like in the middle. Charles Barkley pushing people around. That gets to the tournament.
Oh, he
It's
has the
always kinda fun.
glasses, he has the rec specs and the whole thing. The guy from the dude from Florida, that picture that came out is still one
7'9".
of those ones that you can see. You know that's going to be an internet meme going around for a long time. The picture of the dude from Florida who's like 7 feet tall. It was like
7'9",
7'5" or
isn't he?
whatever.
Yeah.
He was being guarded by this dude with a white headband, and in the picture it looks like me standing next to a 7'3" dude, but the guy with the headband,
6'8" guy
6'8".
sitting next to him, right?
He was 6'8", and he's looking up at him. You can see him like looking back at the bench, like, what the hell is this thing? And yeah, the dude was gigantic.
Hey, Mike, on 60 Minutes, have you noticed a little change recently? It seemed like a little more balanced, a little fairer. Two stories last night seemed to be pretty
I
fair.
was noting that. I mean, I think they the one story about the rare earth minerals, they talked about how this was a priority of the Trump administration, and so they kind of talked about how they wanted it, but then they also pointed out that there were some things that they were undermining that cause. See, the
Yeah,
administration
when they work it out. Yeah.
balanced. I would agree. It was rather balanced.
Yeah, I used to watch it out of obligatory. I'm above 60. I think you're required to watch it if you're above 60. And but anyways, they used to spend a lot of time their angles just trying to get Trump or get the other party or left wing slant. I just want to hear the facts, and I get and look when they tell me when they're honest, Mike. I tell you what happens when they're balanced like that. When they say, "Hey, Trump needs the Jones Act for the ships," for example, right? We're not basically the short story is we're not making ships anymore in America. They're being made in South Korea and China. It's terrible. It's a national defense issue. And it was a fair question asking him, is this not free market capitalism when the government gets involved in shipbuilding and rare earth minerals? So to me, you walk away learn something when they do it
And
that
he
way.
had a pretty good answer to that, saying this is not a normal time. In normal times, yeah, I think this might be something we wouldn't want to do, but this is not normal. We have a ruthless partner on the other side in China who is not going to play by the rules.
Yeah, and to sum up the story for the people that didn't see it, 90% of the rare earth minerals are controlled by China. We kind of let that happen over a period of time. We should not have rare earth minerals being mostly somewhere around magnets. I didn't know that, but somehow about magnets. And the average fighter jet has like 150 pounds, I believe he said, of rare earth minerals in it, including cars, automobiles. Ford almost shut down last year during so it's a mess. They're playing long ball. That's one thing you can say about central command and control government. they they can take those type of views and go do
Take the long road. Yeah.
devious things like that.
I like the line where they said that rare earth minerals are the deep cuts of the periodic table. They're
Yeah.
the ones further down.
65 to 72. Yeah.
Well, they're also not inherent. Like we call them rare earth minerals, but a vast majority of them aren't inherently rare. They
They're
got
not real rare, no.
it got looped into that category. And also, I mean, Canada has a ton of them as well, but they, for environmental reasons, don't mine them. And that's looking to
Well,
potentially change. But
look at the subtext of this story last night, Jeb. The subtext that they didn't say it, but I know it. Is that the reason we fell behind is because of environmentalists. They had one leak at one rare earth plant one time. They shut the thing down, and the environmentalists make it so hard in America to do these things. At least they did the last 20 years. Over vigilant, hyperbolic, environmentalists have shut down our ability to do a lot of different things, and unions to some degree. The Philadelphia shipyard for the shipping group up there, the unions are so expensive and demanding, and Philadelphia is such a blue city. I think there's some of that they didn't mention in there, but my gut tells me that had to be an issue. So yeah, I mean, steel prices. I didn't know steel prices had gone up that much, and in America we're not making as much steel as we should be, and why they can make it cheaper over there, it's got to be environmental again.
I mean, where do you think?
Tariffs were driving the train on the steel cost?
Well, I know he's trying to say that we need to make it here, and they're being able to do it cheaper over there because of environmental stuff. I have a question. I've always kind of wondered as we talk about rare earth minerals, us stopping it because one thing had a leak, the pipeline stuff, and like getting pipelines stopped and drilling. Then environmentalists get really on the front foot about stopping these things, but the second, third, fourth, fifth order effects never really get discussed. Like the oil's still going to come if you have a pipeline or not. Now it's on diesel trucks and going to like all of these.
Well, the biggest one,
things.
Jeb, you're too young to remember this. 3 Mile Island was a leak, and they shut down the whole nuclear program in America. And environmentalists were out there, amplified by the left wing media. That gosh, people had to evacuate, had to do this, had to do that.
The timing of 3 Mile Island also hurt. I think 2 weeks before 3 Mile Island occurred, the movie The China Syndrome had come out.
Yeah, I mean, people are so manipulated by the media.
Yeah, that's not going to happen, and then it did happen, and they're going, oh wow.
Well, then you add on.
That was a little hyperbolic, and it set the now the same people are saying, well, it's CO2 in the air. We can't do coal. Well, we shut down our nuclear program. It's 20% of our energy. It should be 35 to 55% of our energy. I think it's 70% of the energy in France.
Well, I went like this when I was in college. I had a no nukes shirt. I thought
they bought into everything.
All the musicians, my favorite musicians, were part of that no nukes thing. But
ironically, you also had a no fear shirt.
They raised a legitimate issue is about the safety and about the waste. I think largely that has been solved. not completely, but to a large extent. I think nuclear does have to have a place in our energy future.
No doubt.
Oh,
And look who, and another, I don't be
I've
too
changed
political
my
here, but Harry Reid shot down Yucca Mountain where they were going to store all these spent rods. And that was a deal he made with Obama, and Obama ran dirty, dingy Harry Reid out in Nevada at this huge cavernous thing, which we had like, I want to say $2 billion sunk into. They were going to send all the rods out there because it was underground. It was dry. It was a great place to put it, middle of nowhere. And they jettisoned that project last minute under a backroom political deal to deliver Nevada for Obama. And it's just the big risk of the spent nuclear rods sitting around these plants. They need to be shipped to some central location.
Now, Ron, you said TVA is headquartered in Chattanooga.
Yeah, technically Knoxville. We have 3,000 employees here, of which 50 go in the office.
Now,
They have a building in Chattanooga.
yeah,
They
it's
got 1.8 million square feet building, Mike. No one goes in there, and they preach to us about energy efficiency. It's become a bit of a joke. They're making a lot of money. Trump is on it. They got one guy making, what's the CEO make, Jeb? 3 million or something, 3.5, and there's
It was more than I thought.
a bunch of 1.8 guys or whatever there, and they inherited this government entity, right? Give me a bunch of dams and nuclear plants. I'd hire a few engineers. I'd run it for $1 million. This is not a $4 million job. Neither is Goodell running the NFL, by the way.
Well, I bring that up because isn't the TVA talking now about putting out throughout the region like smaller nuclear reactors?
Yeah, Gates and a few other people are working on that. There's a group that came to Chattanooga that started working on those mini nuclear plants. Gates has put money into it.
Yes.
The regulatory environment is antiquated. The one they tried to do in Georgia was just supposed to be like, I don't know, 5 years, ended up being 12 years, and everybody's power rates went up on it. They've got to give some room on these things. Look, life is inherently risky. I mean, you're not going to get the risk out of everything. Everything great that was ever done, the Brooklyn Bridge, the Golden Gate Bridge, or you name it, people died. And, the Empire State Building, the people died building it, and it's just not without risk, right?
No.
You can't go about life and say, well, we can't have any risk.
I try to be the reasonable guy on this. When an environmentalist raises an issue, I mean, that's fine. Raise that issue. Maybe we should take a look at it. But yeah, I mean, I think it's always going to be a cost benefit analysis between any kind of progress and what it's going to do to the environment. I mean, we just got to take just take a close look at it.
I feel that that's where people. I feel like that's where people who are on the environmentalist side often lose sight, is because they do the cost benefit analysis of the thing that's sitting in front of them that they truly do believe. And I'm not saying this to say they're lying. I do think they believe this, but the thing in front of them is the thing that simply must be stopped. The ripple effects of that are of absolutely no consequence. And that's where I think talking about just stop oil is a ridiculous claim to begin with. Oil's in plastics, it's in everything. And this idea that people who went to Oxford in England are throwing paint at Van Goghs and gluing themselves to the street. They're like, we have to stop this because the world's ending. Then there's people who are dying in Africa who can't get gas or heat or any stuff to feed their families. They don't care about the environment. They care about feeding their kids that day. You have to recognize.
It's all performative, Jeb. I mean, I think that kind of stuff is just to get attention.
And I think what happens too, Mike, I think the left wing people have more dramatic tie yourself to a Van Gogh or paint you don't see any right wing anti-environmentalist activists that go out there, that we're kind of the silent majority then the media gets these people a lot of attention. They're like, oh my God, the world. Greta Thunberg. Also, we're listening to a 14 freaking year old about the environment. I mean, that's y'all's main person.
Right. But y'all do a lot of performative stuff too, so it's not just us.
What do we do?
Oh, come on. Well, how about that bill in the Tennessee State Legislature to make it a death penalty offense for an abortion? I mean,
insanity.
Yeah,
it's insanity.
That was just performative.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of it is performative. A lot of it's leverage. It's something we'll talk about in my show later on today. But I mean, like Greta, like your 14-year-old spokesperson, she came out. I mean, after trying to go to Palestine, not said a word on the Iran situation. That was dicey. Came out and in her speech about Cuba said how dire it was because they didn't have any oil.
They needed oil.
Yeah.
Well, look, we just got if someone raises an environmental issue, look at it. Let's see what it is. Let's see if we can fix it. Maybe we can do it in a less destructive way to the environment, and then let's move on.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think the biggest misnomer about the environment is that the right wingers don't care about it. We're the ones that hunt, fish, play golf. We're out there
Yeah,
more
yeah,
than
you're
these
all
people in the
conservation.
Brooklyn
Yeah,
cafes
I
drinking
agree.
lattes.
I
They're the
agree.
ones whining about the environment. We're the
Oh,
ones that
basically
use it.
hunters. You're the hunters and fishers.
Used to call it conservationist, right? Conservation,
Like
Eagles,
Ducks
Boy
Unlimited does
Scouts,
more for
etc.
wetlands than most government institutions do, and there's a custodial ship over it. But yeah, I think the narrative of, and we're wrapping up going to break, but I think the narrative that we don't care is an easy cop out for those on the other side, to where when we make criticisms, you just get to say it's just because you don't care about the environment.
You
And
don't
like,
love
no,
the
I just
environment
that
like
part
me.
doesn't
I
make sense
care
to
more
me.
than you do. I'm more
Yeah.
empathetic. You're terrible. Yeah, you want the world to burn.
It's
All right, fellas. Well, it's our first
Can't
break
believe
here on a Monday edition of Three Dudes with a View. We'll take a time out and be back right after this. And welcome back to a Monday edition of Three Dudes with a View. I'm Clayton Harris, filling in for Delk Kennedy this morning. And we are joined, as always, by dude number 2, Mr. Ron Hart. Good morning, Ron.
Good morning. And I wrote a joke about Chuck Norris. I'll tell you in a minute. Since Jeb brought it up, somebody brought up Chuck Norris.
And also
Got a pretty good one here.
Also joining us this morning is Monday special guest dude, Mike Roden. Good morning, Mike.
Hey, good morning, everybody.
And also joining us, the host of In the Middle of It with Jeb Hart. Jeb Hart, good morning, Jeb.
Morning, y'all.
Go ahead, Ron.
Oh, the macho jokes about Chuck Norris. I'm thinking about writing about him this week because there's a lack of macho-ness, I think, among the people, men today, and this is a big problem for me, I think. Anyway, so the joke that I wrote was Chuck Norris being the man he was. He's a little bit like the Dos Equis guy. The joke kind of goes, he once told a woman to calm down, and she did. It's pretty good.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, we got along pretty well in the first segment, so here's something that will probably get us into an argument. Robert Mueller passed away over the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And
Trump shouldn't have. I think we agree on that. Trump shouldn't have said that.
Shouldn't have said that.
Well, yeah, I would hope that we would all agree that Trump's post was not appropriate.
Right. But let me say this one thing. He was haunted by this guy for a long time. And I guess if someone came after you for something you didn't do, it's a little bit like if you think about like the prosecutor in To Kill a Mockingbird, and you're that African-American on trial, would you be happy when that prosecutor died?
That's how he felt about it. But let's not forget that Robert Mueller didn't ask for the job. He was appointed by Rob Rosenstein, I believe the guy's name was, who was the deputy attorney general. Jeff Sessions recused himself, so it fell to the deputy attorney general, Rosenstein, and he's the one that appointed Robert Mueller. So he didn't ask for the job, but all his life, when his country called, he answered the call. So, and in hindsight, he was he was 80, I think, when he passed this weekend. So he was definitely maybe in his 70s when.
He was starting to lose it a little bit then, though. There was at least on the right wing media said
he may have not been the right person for it in hindsight, but I think he did the job he was asked to do, and and then he was a war hero, Bronze Star, Purple Heart, a Marine in Vietnam.
Yeah.
So
all the Washington credentials, no doubt about it. But he was a lifer. He was a swamp rat. There's another statement that everybody attributes, and I think it's cute. I've never wished a man dead, but I've read some obituaries with great pleasure. Okay, this is Mark Twain, supposedly. I think Clarence Darrow may have actually said it originally. That's kind of cute and funny, and that's going around for years. Everybody smiles at that. I mean, I'm not excusing what he did. That and the Rob Reiner comment is entirely inappropriate. I mean, he shouldn't have done it at the time.
How do you do those things, Ron?
I think he's impulse control. I think he's got some impulse control, and I think he's, at least with Trump, you know what he's thinking.
Exactly.
All the time.
That's true.
He doesn't hide his feelings, and I don't know. Some people find it refreshing.
We want someone with a lack of impulse control with the nuclear button.
Well, I think there's checks and balances a little bit around that as well. He's proven himself less warmongering than Bush or Obama.
There's also a difference between types of impulse control. Like everybody has a friend who gets that fourth whiskey in them and starts throwing hands and just fighting anybody.
Imagine
and
if
there's
Trump
the other
drank.
guy who says, I love you all the time. Then there's the one who will try to tell you their business idea. He's much more of the, I'm going to say ridiculous stuff. He's not going to throw hands and fight. Like his impulse control comes around his mouth, not necessarily his actions. It's not to say one's better than the other because you don't want him smashing the button. But if he's just going to vent and get it off his chest, it's not the end of the world, especially when it's a known commodity. If he was, if it was Obama who came out one day and was like, glad he's dead, everyone would be like, whoa, that's out of character. You kind of know what that is.
Yeah, well, it's one thing to say it among his aides or to his family or to other people around him, but to post it for everyone to see, this is the president of the United States saying this, it's just.
Well, Obama said a pretty crass statement to him during that White House dinner that made him run. Basically, they said you'll never be president. They did it when he dropped the mic. There's been some provocation, not like I wish he was dead type of stuff, but you listen to Kimmel at night and Colbert, not so much Jimmy Fallon. They're their jokes are pretty freaking mean. I mean, there's some pretty mean jokes. Of course, they're in the humor space, and that's what it's supposed to be. I would wish you hadn't have done that. It'd be better off not doing it. But I have to say, Mike, you were a prosecutor. If you had a prosecutor with it, like I think I sent out yesterday, the Mar-a-Lago thing, Letitia James and Alvin Bragg, they just valued Mar-a-Lago, Fortune magazine, at $550 million. Letitia James says worth $20 million when she sued him. I mean, at the same time, I mean, he's got to be frustrated at these prosecutors.
Well, I don't pretend to know all the ins and outs of that because
Look it up.
I do. They used a they
Go
used
ahead.
they used an incredibly it the reason it stood up and passed, when they appealed it and all that, is because technically it is a valid accounting method because it's not a residential property. Technically, it is a club, and they trade at different annuals. They train at different earnings numbers, and the value of the physical property itself as a business takes into account, but which is just ridiculous because they could just define it as a home anytime they want. It's worth 500 million. It's like just the lot itself, one that is like
Yeah, just like 40 acres, I think.
size, sold for like 6 million. It was a lot
For 1 acre,
so
on the ocean. Yeah.
And so, like, technically, the accounting method that they were using in New York to do this for the file, they could move numbers around because of how it's structured as a business to make it off of their earnings, and that's what it's worth, not the property.
No, they used. Yeah, I think they used the tax
Having
return,
for tax
the
purposes.
county
Having
taxes.
evaluation for tax purposes, and then having a valuation much higher when you're trying to get a loan.
Yeah, but that's what they did was he lied about the value of it to secure a loan.
That's the pretext, but he
yeah, and so that's the point is that it shouldn't be because if the loan is collateral against him, if he defaulted on it, $1 billion loan and had to sell it, he could get 500.
And it was a private transaction between he and UBS, and UBS was trying to get his business in the private wealth side, so they gave him a pretty good deal. Obviously, they made their money back and they got paid. Letitia James getting involved in that is just completely politically meddling. I mean,
well, here's my question. Now that the president has put out this statement, this Truth Social post about Miller's death, all those teachers and who lost their jobs because they said something about Charlie Kirk, are they going to get their jobs back now?
We talking about
it. And again, I don't think
that went on for a long time without any pushback from the left.
Well, no, that's not true.
I mean, Robert Mueller didn't have his throat shot out in front of a
little different
crowd either.
Oh, that's true. Listen,
but I also go back to this
go
though.
back and play the tape.
But Kamala Harris might.
I'll go back to this though, Mike.
Well, I condemned all of that.
Sure.
I said anybody celebrating the death is crazy. Now, saying what Charlie Kirk said during his life and just repeating what he said, that to me that's fair. I mean, maybe you should wait a while before you do that because
do you think it's fair to misquote it very regularly?
Yes, he's been misquoted.
Well, okay, but I'm just saying that these are the things that he said, and I think it's fair. It's fair game to now analyze that.
If he's a biblical-driven Leviticus type guy that a man should not lay down with a man, all this stuff, you would go down to your local church there in town and see what they believe. You don't shoot them over it. They believe the Bible.
And again, violence, bad. Right. We condemn all violence. Condemn people celebrating violence. That's terrible. But I joined all of y'all in condemning all of that. But I'm glad to see that you're at least joining me today in saying that the president's post was inappropriate.
Yeah, well, and Mike, I want to mention this too. Let's don't forget the Hollywood Access video and the fact that he was still elected just a few weeks after that was released in 2016. So, I mean, it probably isn't the most outrageous thing that he said in the last decade.
He's a very flawed guy, but if you study history, I like reading biographies. There's not a single person in the world, a successful person, especially a male, that doesn't have some asterisks like that on there. Look at Ben Franklin, Thomas Jefferson, all the way down the line. Stephen Jobs was a terrible person in real life. He abandoned his kid he knocked up. He was brutal to his people in the office. I mean, he's not without flaws, but I think with America, I got tired of these mamby-pamby, say nothing Biden and Obama who have these very polished lines that say and do nothing. They're looking for action.
I disagree with that, but it is true that all of our heroes, we wind up finding out they have clay feet. We
Oh yeah.
saw Cesar Chavez. That was terrible. That came out.
Oh yeah. Chavez, you're right about that. Are y'all
It-
going to change all the monuments in every town?
exactly. They're already putting black robes over
And
all the
can't you imagine they already knew that, Mike? I know they protect Dr. King
correct.
as well because there's some
Circle
things
around
Dr.
him
King
too. But
did
I
that are
mean,
pretty.
certainly the people who are now coming out, the Dorothy Harada, who was with him all that during that time, and she's one of the accusers now. And yeah, I mean, they all the people around him knew, of course.
It becomes a business, really. Your family around you, Jesse Jackson's family, and I would say he did anything terrible, but King's family, Chavez, you name it, Elvis Presley's family, you name it. The heirs are left around. They want to keep that image clean so they can make money off of it, right?
Of course.
Well,
And that's why you never name a street after somebody while they're still alive because they got plenty of time to screw it up. And you got to go back through changing it. You got to make sure the cast has died before you start making nameplates for a road. Um,
it's a good point.
but you know, so like everybody's flawed. Like even people in our some of those admirable people in the world. Like I mean, Winston Churchill was having a whiskey soda in bed every single morning, looking over documents. Then he had his champagne and gin cocktail in the tub while he was
Brought to
taking.
him by his secretary, right? Wasn't she like bringing
Yeah,
him
Jim
in
was
there?
sitting
That was
there
awesome. At
taking
least in the
notes while he
movie.
was in the tub.
Yeah.
Churchill was a great war leader, but he was also a bit of an imperialist, and his
Yeah. And a bit of a sexist, too.
he
I think
started
he said,
little
well, he had
mini.
one great line, Mike. I don't know if you remember this line. That after he retired, he was in Liverpool, and they had a statue made of him. These two beautiful Miss Liverpool and runner-up Miss Liverpool were giving him the statue, and they said, we drove all the way from 45 miles away to see the unveiling of your bust. He said, rest assured, I will do the same for y'all. I miss that kind of stuff. I think it's kind of harmless and fun. He was like 80 when he said it, but
Well, fellas,
You
we're up
can
against our final
you can
break.
get away with a lot when you're 80.
yeah.
We're up against our
And
final
you
break
saved the
of
world
show.
from tyranny.
I can't wait to be 80. I'm going to steal so much stuff.
We'll take a time out and be back right after this. And welcome back to a Monday edition of Three Dudes with a View. I'm Clayton Harris filling in for Delk Kennedy. Final segment of the show, and we are joined by dude number 2, Mr. Ron Hart. Good morning, Ron.
Hey, good morning.
Also joined by Monday's special guest dude, Mike Roden. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, everybody.
And also joined by the host of In the Middle of It with Jeb Hart. Jeb Hart.
Morning, y'all.
Ron, we have a listener that texted in and wanted to ask a question. Says, ask Ron if he helped carry the AT&T Park home plate over to the new Erlanger Park the other day. They had a human chain that walked the home plate from the old park to the new park for the Chattanooga Lookouts.
I saw that. No, that doesn't like something I'd do anyway. I'm not part of it. I don't like being a part of a human chain. More of an individualistic type person. But yeah, I don't. My daughter,
Jeff, was nowhere to be found.
You know, this sounds like a lot of work. I'd hire somebody. You know, maybe. Jeff's sister, my daughter, is CEO of Erlanger Hospital. They put $1 million in. Sorry?
CMO.
Chief Medical Officer, sorry. Chief Medical Officer of Erlanger Hospital, and they put $1 million into it. So it's become a hot button issue. The county mayor Wamp, remember Zach Wamp, the congressman, his son Weston was against it because some people say because he didn't get a cut, but the county had to put money in. A friend of mine, Gary Chazen, is doing it. Good guy. And then the other side of the city puts money into a, like this tax deferred thing. They're supposed to get paid down the road, but it's controversial right now.
They built the stadium a lot faster than I thought they were going to. And there's a huge portion of it. We talk about the bonds and the approval and everything else. Is there has to be, I think, 70. I'll look it up to make sure I have the right number. It's $70 million worth of retail within a certain geographic footprint around it. So they're having a whole development. There's also a lot of other stuff around there that's gotten sold in the St. Elmo area by the lady that owns that giant vet. That also has a vet dermatology, which apparently is a thing. Yeah. And it does well enough to where you can buy all these buildings because they're doing something right. But yeah, that part should be cool. And the other one is very good real estate right on the river where the old one was. Do you know what they're doing with that?
No, I think Ellis said the mayor said that they're going to do they want to do some public housing up there. There's a big theme about, doing low cost housing here, but it sits on the hill. The fundamental flaw with that one was it faced right into the sun, right? All the hitters look right into the sun. It was kind of stupid the way they set it up. By the way, if you're in Middle Tennessee, people in the listening audience, it is a cool stadium. It's an old foundry. Gary bought it for $1. It had a bunch of environmental issues. He spent 20 years cleaning it up, and it just sits right there on the highway as you go to Nashville and split to Atlanta. You'll see it when you come in town. They preserved a lot of the history there, which I'm glad they did. Actually, I've enjoyed living here versus Atlanta. Atlanta is just one big glass building that looks like 1982. Here, they preserved a lot of the architecture. I hope Columbia does as well downtown. I think you've done a great job with the courthouse. But, when you get a chance, always preserve your architecture, historic architecture.
And the county mayor's name is Weston Wamp?
Weston Wamp, yeah.
He could be governor. Attorney General.
It sounds
his wife is DA in the area.
It's his sister.
His sister's DA in the area. She's the ball buster. She could be governor if she wants to be. She is really sharp and tough. She has all the credentials.
Weston Wamp sounds like something Elmer Fudd would say.
Well, there you go. With a wabbit.
Wabbit, yes.
But he's kind of got the county. You have a dynamic here where the county's Republican, the city's about 55-45 Democrat to Republican. So Corker didn't even win the city when he ran for Senate after being mayor. So it's a weird kind of downtown, a lot of coffee shops, UTC, TVA workers. I mean, it's plenty of Democrats. The minority parts of town, Alton Park's down there. So you got a tough little to be mayor of Chattanooga. You got to be kind of in the middle. Tim Kelly's in the middle. He says he's a libertarian. He's probably left of center. He endorsed Kamala. So it's a weird dynamic. But the county really has all the money and the sway in many ways because it's got all the suburban folks out there. This Ottawa and these towns that grow.
Areas where you kind of have to be in the middle. You got to compromise. You got to not be all the way on one wing or the other. You have to meet the people where they are.
Mike, you'll enjoy this. Tim Kelly, he's a friend of mine. I'm on his finance committee, and he endorsed Kamala. I stayed on there. He's a thoughtful guy. I mean, he just didn't like Trump's personality and whatever. For him to weigh in though as a mayor on Kamala Harris, I think will be suicide politically down the road. I don't think it was a good idea. You're not going to win anything in East Tennessee as a Democrat.
Hey, we're going to have ICE at the airports.
Yep.
Anybody see a problem with that?
I see no problem with it, and I love the reverse Uno cards. Actually, I'm spending my first segment on. You got to get into the details of all of it because, I mean, we talk about what actually is happening with the funding of it, and it's not about DHS and it's not about ICE even. It's just about leverage. It's what they have because they have the ability to pass laws to get done what they'd like to get done with ICE because that's Congress's job. What they're asking is to hold this up. And I'm not saying this is, somehow a Democratic problem at all. Both parties know how the game's played. But now you take ICE, which is federally funded for another 2.5 years, and you place them. Do what?
It's funded. Yeah, it's funded.
Yeah, it's funded. And so the part of DHS that is funded is going to go in and help support. They're not running the machines or checking that. Same thing that you saw when Mr. York was complaining about, the National Guard in Memphis. They were just standing around in parks and stuff. No, they were like patrolling areas so that the people who have to report to the crimes or didn't have to do those other things. So they can monitor lines, monitor exits, entrances, all of that, and have everybody. Because right now TSA, they have people in the lines making sure that. Because if you look at the videos from Atlanta, they're and they've also done this before many times during holiday seasons and stuff. They add in extra federal agencies to do those ancillary jobs. And if you have them just patrolling and let the TSA people just run the machines and get through.
If you step back a few steps, you look at the way Trump runs the government. He kind of runs it like a business. And I think people like that. I mean, I don't think any other politician in modern time would take one agency and put them over to do the job of another agency. I think I kind of like that. I mean, that's just what a business person would do,
I've not heard any reports from the Nashville airport as what's going on. But in 2 weeks, 2 weeks from today, the wife and I are going to Europe. So we'll be getting on
Ooh, better get up, you figure the airport right now.
What, do we have great timing or what? This is a
It'll be
trip
fine
that
2 weeks. They got to cut a deal. It's just choking point right now.
so. This is a trip that we've put off twice now, so we're finally going to go this time. And but yeah, we picked a good time. There's a report. I don't know whether this is accurate, but there's a report that said that Senate Majority Leader Thune reached a deal with Democrats to fund DHS except for ICE, and Trump said no. Trump said no, don't do that.
Yeah, I would agree with him there because once you pull ICE off the table, it's the only thing that anybody wants changed. So once that's off the table, we talk about this being a game of leverage. Right now, ICE being part of the DHS funding is the only leverage they have to get something changed because while they can pass a law, they don't have the votes to. So they understand this is the only thing they have leverage on. Once they carve that out and put it off to the side and the things getting funded that nobody has an issue with are funded and done, what is the Democrats' motivation to come back in good faith? And they're willing to let TSA not get paid in order to get this done. What reason would they have to believe that they are just going to be like, all right, now let's have an honest and fresh conversation?
Trump, if this report is true, then Trump is the one who is not letting TSA get paid. If there's a deal,
no, you guys are locking it up.
They're both
minority.
One would either capitulate, or one who doesn't have the power would.
I tell you what, every person standing in line is dog cussing the Democrats right now if they're paying attention.
Negotiate. There's a deal to be
Negotiate.
made.
Negotiate to change the entire thing where you have to get a warrant from a judge to deport somebody. That we haven't done that for 50 years.
That is one demand, but they may give that demand up.
Okay, we're going to change the whole judicial system over this little minority group pitching a little bitch.
It's not a little minority group. It is
one vote, 2 votes.
Oh no, it's what 49, 48.
And not all these Democrats believe in that, Mike. You know that they're just held together by Hakeem and these people on their votes. And 60 vote majority on something. Why is it 60 vote in the Senate now? Is that everything?
Up the filibuster. I mean, that makes.
Why is that now all of a sudden 60 votes for everything?
Well, it shouldn't be. I agree. I think we should go back to the Jimmy Stewart, standing up there in the well of the Senate. And if you're going to filibuster, get up there and talk. Don't
Get
have
a catheter and go for it.
Don't have these paper filibusters where you say, well, we're going to filibuster and then you got to have 60 votes. I totally agree with that.
Yeah. Well, I just think it's a wrong hill to die on right now. Maybe he's already made concessions in Minneapolis. He's replaced Kristi Noem. Take the win and move on. I mean, you're proving to him that you can't negotiate because he did what you wanted to do, and you're still shaking him down. I think it's a bad tone and tenor.
This may shock you, but I kind of agree, Ron. I think that the Democrats probably should say things have changed. we did this in good faith, but things have changed now because we've got with the war, we got terrorist threats, and therefore we should make an exception here and go ahead and fund DHS in total.
But but the issue is what they're trying to do with with ICE is like the judicial oversight, which is their big one that Ronnie just referenced about needing a judicial warrant, not just administrative approval. That changes our entire immigration court system, and then they want to show their face ID and stuff. I get that, but if they weren't being doxxed so regularly, it wouldn't be like if there wasn't so much outrage garnered up. I'm fine with them wanting them to have body cams. I believe the vast majority of them already do. The idea of having limits on where they can do enforcement at especially in places that are not cooperating.
Honestly, I think the ICE agents prefer the body. They want the body camera. It protects them more than it protects the other people because they're so provoked leading up to it. What you get into is they hound you, they harass you, they throw stuff at you, and then they film it when you react. Right. So if you got the whole context in the body cam, I don't think there's any pushback on the body cam piece.
And they also, there's no pushback on the use of force training reforms and things like that. Like more training and understanding about how to deal with those situations. But there's other things they're asking for, like legal rights for the detainees to be up to provide legal counsel, which is paid for by the American taxpayer. Like all of this is just adding on to an already overcrowded judicial system. All the things they're trying to add into this are not viable, and there's short-term wins to say, look what we've done, we've given this. They're not practical at all. No one's going to agree to them. Their demands are outlandish, and they're holding everything else up because they know they're never going to get it, but they get to say they're doing something while everyone suffers.
Right. To be performative art type of thing,
Administrative warrants have worked in the past. I mean,
It's the only way we've ever done it.
I saw them. I saw them every, just on a weekly basis, and they were fine. But again, bad facts make bad law. So what we saw with a lot of the excesses with ICE, that's why they're now wanting judicial warrants. But I think in a perfect world, administrative warrants would be fine.
Guys, great show this morning. That was calm and relaxing.
I don't know.
I think we all learned something.
We'll see you back tomorrow, folks, on a Tuesday edition of Three Dudes with a View. Have a great day.
All right. See you all then.